and if not seen, the 7. In these days, we're seeing more and more signs of depression, not recession, here with our economy. And we've just seen one of these indicators off the charts that show that we're in a position that we've not been in, and if not seen, since the peak of the Great Depression in 1932. So people can say, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Well, per the numbers and per real disposable income, when you look at those charts right now, it's the worst ever. It's second only to the Great Depression. And this is a huge drop. It fell over $1 trillion in 2022. This results in the standard of living rapidly declining out there. We're seeing the dollar get debased. At the same time, they're talking about the all-out death of the petrodollar, openly shifting gears here on this world stage as the almighty dollar is about to fall apart right in front of your eyes. And as this happens, they're going to try to digitize it, making the CBDC, and then they may follow the lead of other countries in terms of the gold, in terms of compensation, trying to back it and everything else. This is going to open the door for a massive underground barter system. I hope you're ready. These same things happened a long time ago. Those that do not know history are doomed to repeat it, as people were bartering and using underground methods and mechanisms just to get by all throughout the Great Depression and beyond. So here we are with these indicators showing us this is where we sit, and they're projecting it's only going to get worse from here. All the job losses are going to continue to stack up. The dollar's going to continue to erode, and the price of items and food are going to continue to rise as people's paychecks stay right where they're at. Join me on the live streams Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, as I break this down further. And hit that subscribe button for more, y'all. Much love.
Hey, Shalom Akim Shalom. First and foremost, we give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Bakakudash. Double honors to the elders, the apostles, the great millstone. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in this gospel broad, living up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, wherever it may be. This is just a quick lesson through the spirit. This is an economy update or economic update. As Dabu stated, the crashing of the dollar and the economic woes that most Americans are really oblivious by, unless you're in league, or unless you're part of the real estate markets, or you're in league with Wall Street. You kind of don't have an idea what's going on, because CNN, they tell you what you want to hear. They tell you different forms of atrocities that's happening in the media, such as Lil Debbie, she lost a Chihuahua dog, or the new local TG or transgender gender that's at the local third grade picnic or some shit like that. They're not telling you the real issues at hand. Like they've been covering this whole Syrian/Turkey earthquake that killed over 21,000 people. My guess is way more than that. I mean, it's just impossible for it to be that loud. It's way more than that, and I'm willing to bet my best dollar on that. But they give you these fabricated stories to keep you asleep and tell you, well, we're not going to go into a recession, but you got actual leaders coming out and stating that we're in a recession. And 2023 is going to be a year that, a lot of markets are going to collapse and prices and inflation is going to go up. Okay, so we have to wait and see. But regardless, these things are prophesied in the scriptures and they will come to pass. Okay, so this is an article from Zero Hedge, which gives out pretty valid information. It's a good source. It says we had just witnessed an economic sign that hasn't happened since the peak of the Great Depression in 1932. And everybody knows about the Great Depression prior to World War II, and how the banks and so forth, or how the dollar and the particular infrastructures of the country collapsed, and people were literally resorting over to particular chaoses and looking for ways out of this situation, because it was pretty much a bad time for people. A lot of those steel tycoons from the late 1800s, a lot of those investors, they lost a lot of money and stock behind the great crash in 1932 and 1929, really. And a lot of people, they committed suicide from that. One whiff for that is you watch the movie Titanic, even though it was based on a true story, but that particular storyline adopted from the movie, the recent movie, that was just pretty much made up and thrown in there. But that guy, what's his name, Calvin Hockley, he was basically a steel tycoon, and they stated the crash of 29 hurt his pockets bad. It hurt his interest. He couldn't recover from it, and he committed suicide. Because he just couldn't bear with the loss. And we're seeing that happen again. Business investors, rich Edomites, man, they're gonna resort to suicide to escape the coming collapse, man, because they don't know how to fare with it. And these people are not used to dealing with hardships like we are as people. The Negro, Latino, Native American. We're born and bred in hardship, so we're used to these things. But Esau, he's not one that deals with such. All right, so it says economic conditions are much worse than you are being told. It says throughout the past year, prices have been rising much faster than most of our incomes have, right? Because I think inflation was like 9.5%, but you only had like a 4 to 5% increase on income, which is not a lot at all, okay, compared to inflation. You got 5% increase in wages, but inflation is 9-10%. You need to double that. Okay, so if inflation is 9%, you need to get a 10% increase so you can have enough money to make up on the back end. But see, that's not how Esau operates, okay, because he's the devil. All right, he believes in usury, and this system that they're creating is to pretty much put everybody in a slave pit. Okay, put everybody in a dog-eat-dog world. Basically, they're gonna submit you or crush you until you submit to this new world order. That's why we always state, the elders in particular, that we have to step out on some serious faith. Because if not, then you threw it out here. All right. But it says throughout the past year, prices have been rising much faster than our incomes have. But as a result, our standard living has been rapidly declining and has become increasingly difficult for U.S. households to make it from month to month. And you will see how below, and it says a third of all U.S. adults are actually relying on their parents to pay at least some of their bills at this point. And that makes sense because, I know a handful of people that actually went back to stay with their parents because things gotten too high. I mean, shit, man. 2-bedroom apartment, $1,500. Yeah, right. You got kids and so forth. It's pretty much impossible to make that. And, a lot of people moving back with parents to save up so they can do things later on down the line. But you still got to consider down the line as to what the effect of this economic collapse is going to bring. Because eventually they're just going to collapse and they're going to bring in an MOTB. Okay, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Breaking people's will, okay, and breaking their will so you can submit to the program. All right, and that's what Edom is doing. That's why you're going to see the collapsing of these markets. The particular cryptocurrencies are going under banks, okay? People can't afford homes anymore. All right, people, they're cutting the brokerage companies, they're cutting the mortgages in half, they're selling them half them what they really want for the property. People can't afford it. Then people are taking out reverse loans, which is pretty much have the bank to pay you for your mortgage until you die off or sell a house or whatever, and then they come and collect it. But it's getting bad. But it says, but even more alarming is what has been happening to real disposable income. It says, according to Fox Business, the most recent GDP report revealed that the decline in real disposable income that we witnessed in 2022 was the largest that has been measured since 1932. Okay, and they're going back into Great Depression time. Okay, it says the most troubling information the GDP reported is the precipitous drop in real disposable income, which fell over $1 trillion in 2022. And disposable income is basically money that you use for your daily, necessities. Let's just say, like, all right, you pay your bills, or let's say if you need a car repair or something like that. You may have $500-600 to get your vehicle repaired in case of something, in case it went down. That's disposable income. All right, stuff like that. But it says, for this context, the second largest percentage drop in real disposable income behind 1932 is the worst of the year of the Great Depression. It says, for example, the portion of subprime auto borrowers that are at least 60 days behind on their payments has just surged to the highest level that we've seen since 2008. Okay, and that's when the auto market, the real estate market, subprime lending, that's when those things was like in a big effect at that time because the banks, they bailed out the banks and so forth. But it says in December, the percentage of subprime auto borrowers were at least 60 days late on their bills climbed to 5.67%, a major increase from the 7-year low of 2.58% in April 2021, according to Fitch Ratings. It says it marks the steepest rates of Americans struggling to make their car payments since 2008 financial crisis, man. Okay, so long story short, they're getting ready to hit another collapse any day now. Okay, so this is not going to be a long lesson at all. I'm actually pressed for time. I got to make some moves, so I'm going to get to it real quick. It says, remember now the days of thy creator and the days of the youth when the evil days come not. It says, nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. And it says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Okay. And it says, in the days when the keepers of the house should tremble, and the strong men should bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Okay, you're optimist. And we've went into the scripture several times before. All right, people's hopes are failing them because they don't see any hope for the future. You know, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and people are depending on government bailouts and in particular help from the governments. But the governments are taking people's Social Security pensions. People's tax returns are getting taken. It's just a shit show. You know, and the affliction of the people is getting ready to be on all levels of it's going to be chaotic by measure. I'll say it that way. Okay, people are going to literally robbing Peter or robbing the next door neighbor in order to get a loaf of bread, because that's how bad it's going to get in the coming months, Lord's will. It says, and the doors should be shut in the streets, and when the sound of the grinding is low, and he should rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music should be brought low. Okay, your economy, okay, no jobs, so forth. It's going to be a shit show out here. It says, and when they should be afraid of that which is high, and fear should be in the way, and the almond tree should flourish, and the grasshopper should be a burden, man. And it says, and desire should fail, right? Because people, they're not going to have the desire to want to work. They're going to have the desire to serve the government. They're going to literally resort to the streets and doing what they do best. You know, going back into dog-eat-dog world type ordeal. And then Esau comes in with the MOTB to put everything back in order. But even at that time, it may be too late because, you know, World War III is going to break out. But it says, and the grasshopper should be a burden, and the desire should fail. And because men go alone to his home, and mourners go about the street. Okay. Revelation 18, and this is after the destruction. But 18 and 10, it says, standing afar for the fear of our torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city, Babylon, the mighty city, for 1 hour is thy judgment come. Okay, it's going to take literally 1 hour for the Most High to destroy this place. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys our merchandise anymore. And that's going to come when it's destroyed. But even then, when the economic collapse comes, nobody's going to have money to really do things they want. Okay, because everybody's going to be rioting. People are going to be wondering how to pay shit. Evictions at an all-time high. Repossessions at an all-time high. Foreclosures on homes at an all-time high. All right, and this is Esau systematically doing this to keep Jake, or keep you people, including Jake, on the foot, so to speak. And it says, and a merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones of pearl and fine linen and purple, silk and scarlet and all thine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of the most precious wood and brass and iron and marble. All right, so these are some of the things that was big, and like Macy's, Marshall Fields, man. You had Sears. You had these big tycoons, these big dinosaurs of corporations that collapsed. Okay, you don't really see Sears around no more. Macy's, you still have a few stores here and there. JCPenney, Marshall Fields, all that shit is gone. You know, and that's just the beginning of it. So anyway, man, I got to get going, Salakia, for the quick lesson. But anyway, all praises and glory and honor to How Shai. And with that, shalom and blah, blah, blah.